You can't do this. What kind of people do you think you are? None of my squad deserved this. All they did was follow the orders that I gave them. If anybody is to blame, then I am.
Anthony, no! They'll destroy you!
Welcome to Series 4, Episode 6 of Conversations on Eagle Mountain, a podcast about the tribe. I'm your host Lance, and joining the podcast panel today is Sabine.
Hi.
Maggie.
Hi.
And Liz will be joining us halfway through, with episode notes done by Matt and myself. So Series 4, Episode 6. The screenplay was done by Joe Boyle, it was directed by Julian McSweeney, and the episode synopsis was read out by Maggie.
Technos take an interest in Ebony following her meeting with Jay, while the city tribes prepare to take action against the invaders. But who's playing who?
Okay, panel. So, knowing that the tribes are planning an attack, Ebony secretly meets with Jay and tells him he needs her, offering cooperation in return for keeping power.
I'm not exactly new to this, Ebony.
Cool. I just hope your boss doesn't mind how long it takes.
And how do you know I'm not the boss?
Well, bosses don't make night visits to threaten females for misbehaving.
Assuming I decide to allow you to leave here, you've got something particular in mind?
All while Java and Ved look on through the CCTV. So yeah, let's dive into this opening scene. What did you make of this meeting? And like Ebony's complete lack of real bargaining power here.
You know what? I actually feel like, God, how to word this? Sorry. I actually feel like Ebony showed her level of insane guts by trying to bluff him this way. Because if she can make it seem like they need her, then maybe there might be something in it for her. Like
she tried the same thing with the Chosen.
Yeah. She tried this with Jaffa, and well,
It backfired.
It backfired badly, but compared to Jaffa, how much of a psychopath can Jay really be?
Yeah, like she thinks that she's working with Jay. She's tried this before, so it's very on point.
She sees Jay, and she sees a pretty boy.
Yeah, it's Jay.
And she thinks I can wrap that one around my little finger.
He's got a pretty face.
But it's kind of ridiculous because, like, Ebony has zero power. She has no actual bargaining power. She has nothing to actually offer him. The Technos,
but he doesn't know that.
The Technos can take what they want. They've killed. They've taken people. They can kill people. They don't need her.
No.
Like her. She has actually no bargaining power. So this was quite, I think, silly.
Well, I mean, it is absolutely silly, but I think that goes to show how desperate she is right now to gain any semblance of control. She wants to know what's going on, and I think she's just trying to get on the inside. Ebony doing what Ebony does.
Yes, and she always wants to make sure she's in the best possible position she can be in. And
I get that. Mm-hmm.
Cooperating with them in such a way, like offering to help, is her best option of not being, fully enslaved.
Because like you brought up the Chosen earlier, because that kind of made sense. Ebony was Queen of the Locos. She had something that she could have offered these ex-Chosen members who are now, you know what I mean? Like, but she has nothing to offer the Technos. She knows nothing about technology. All she knows is the city, and they don't care. Like, I mean, there's just a different level of. She just has nothing to offer, basically, which makes her doing this a bit weird and reckless. Because she could have just been killed. Like, literally, she could have just been killed.
Yeah, no, it is absolutely reckless, and that shows the desperation.
Yeah, and she wants to make it seem like she's important enough to keep around.
Oh, for sure.
Important enough to not be strangled in her bed.
Like, I am the city leader. I'm important. It's me you should be dealing with, no one else. You need me to get through to them. Like, I mean, she does have a hand to, to play if they want their cooperation. They don't want to take them by force,
But they easily
already
can.
show they don't care.
Yeah.
They already show they don't care. They will do whatever they have to do. Yeah.
Yeah, but here is this pretty boy who threatened her in her own bed, which is something she probably has a strange level of respect for. I mean, after all, this is the woman who willingly stayed with Zoot, no matter how abusive he was.
Yeah.
I just feel Ebony's smarter than this.
She's smarter. That's why I say it's desperation. It has to be desperation. She sees that they are absolutely overwhelmed, overpowered, and there's no way out of this but cooperation.
Yes, she knows that battling them isn't going to win. Like, they're not going to beat these guys. And survival rule number 1, if you can't beat them, join them. At least in her world.
But like, she's not even like set back, see who's in charge. You know what I mean? I get a feel for who these tribe even is. Like, I feel like she skipped that step.
but clearly for her, this pretty boy must be important. He must at least be, like the level Luke was to Jaffa.
Mm.
Yeah, she absolutely knows that he's,
The other Technos follow in line behind him. They await his command. So at least he has
the area,
he has some form of power. He might not be top dog, but, we'll screw that one when we get to it.
Yeah, he can get her to top dog.
Yeah.
She's definitely shown, and they've definitely shown over the last, half season or whatever, that he is working behind the scenes, and you don't really know what Ebony's doing, but she's doing something.
And she's always trying to get on top or be,
just wants to be 2 steps ahead.
the person that's on top.
I get everything you're saying. Like, she definitely is obviously trying to carve herself a place as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Like,
she has nothing to bargain with. I agree with that.
It's just that bit, yeah. It just feels
reckless. It's absolutely reckless.
Dangerous,
It's a dangerous game, but Ebony doesn't want to be
like
the lowest form of life. So
this isn't like the time to do this dangerous gambit. Like, they've only just invaded. Like, why would you throw you're literally throwing your life away because you stood in front of the CCTV camera. You have no idea what Technos even come and greet you, maybe capture you, kill you, send you off to slavery. You don't know any. Like, it's a very reckless gamble just for this possibility of meeting the lieutenant. What do you mean? Like, that's a massive gambit. A massive gambit.
It is.
It's a bit too much, I think.
It was written. So it was. Sorry.
So it was said.
It feels kind of like something Ebony would do, though.
You think? Even this level?
Honestly, I'm really not surprised by it. I'm really not.
Ebony is not. Yeah, but Ebony is not one to sit back and wait for someone to have more control over. She'll grasp at.
And here's the thing: even if she did get captured, it's Ebony. She will talk and she will do it. Like, she's always prepared for what could happen. Yes, it does seem so reckless and dangerous, and what are you doing?
Yeah, but I think at this point, Ebony no longer. I mean, she cares. She wants to survive, but she'd rather go down fighting and trying whatever she can than having to constantly beg.
It is absolute desperation.
But she doesn't want to go down fighting. She doesn't want to, she doesn't want to die. She doesn't want to go down fighting these people.
No. She doesn't want to fight them because she knows it's a lost battle before they even start.
That's why it's the desperation. This is the only way.
So her best option is to throw in with the enemy.
Yeah, I get that. I don't know. It just...
enemy of my enemy.
It just feels like she's not in the right place to make this reckless gambit this soon.
No, she isn't. No. Yeah, no, she absolutely isn't.
She hasn't lost anyone. She's lost no one. She's, I mean, she's still.
I think that also, goes to show that she has nothing really to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just trying to gain what she can.
I just feel like there's a better way to facilitate this scene.
There was,
rather
but...
than...
I think that Ebony has already realized that she doesn't have any more control over the city. Not in the way she wanted to have control over the city. And
I mean, she's absolutely impressed. She is 100% impressed by the way the Technos have conducted themselves.
Mm-hmm. And she's
There's
always.
no doubt in my mind that she isn't like, these guys know what they're doing. I want to be a part of this.
I mean, why on earth do you think she jumped from Bray to Zoot in the first place?
For sure. Yeah,
You
it's
know,
the same
this-
concept.
It's what she does. She goes to the baddest tribe of them all, and she tries to attach herself to anyone in power for that tribe.
That's the thing. Yeah, I don't even think it matters like if they're bad or good.
But-
I
yeah,
just
that-
think
I-
it
I-
matters if there's
I understand,
power
yeah.
there.
I understand that bit. It's just the desperation bit. I understand everybody's motivation, but
It's just desperate at this point. She's like, this is the only way. Yeah, the only way is to go directly to them and be like, I can help you.
I can be of
this is her
use to
only play.
you. Yeah, because she isn't of use, but
She realizes they are defeated.
like right now, she can at least try to pretend that she has something to offer and get herself on top before the enemy realizes that she's useless.
you guys are making great points. You are making. I just not convinced the show has done enough to convince me that Ebony is in this desperate moment to do this desperate act. It's just not gelling for me. But you guys make fantastic points.
Well, what do you suppose Jay would say if he knew that you were spying on him right now?
Who's spying? I just want to see what this vert looks like. You gotta know what you're dealing with, right?
Right, sure.
I mean, yeah, talking about the writing. Like, what did you make of the little hints when Java and Ved were looking at the CCTV and then obviously began distorting and everything?
Do I really have to think about it?
Back to, maybe some of these writers thinking the are a little dumb. Like, I don't know.
I feel like that part has been written for my child to understand. Like, a kid that's around 8 or 9 would slowly make out what's going on here.
Mm.
So
Yeah, in the
it's
show
like,
with my son, right? And he is 21, and I literally he's seen like maybe 7 of episodes of season 1, right? Like, he doesn't really know these characters, and they do the reveal at some point, and who do you think these people are, right? And he knew immediately. He knew immediately, and he didn't even know any of the characters. So I'm like, people that watch the show, like, all these characters, it just feels like it's like, oh, you guys are dumb. Like, you don't know. Like, here's a big surprise for you, but it wasn't a surprise at all. I tried.
I think they thought they were putting in a fun twist for a young audience.
Yeah.
Which, on one hand, with the targeted age of the channel it aired at, they have a point with that, but for everyone that's been watching since season 1, it's annoying.
Yeah.
Because we're not 7 or 8 years old.
I mean, yeah, you perfectly said it. It just felt a little bit too dumbed down. I think what got me was when they had Ebony turning around Jay, positioning just in the right moment, just so you can't see her eyes. It just felt really dumb. Like, don't treat us this dumb, please.
Yeah.
Like, and then the screen started all suddenly not having any clarity, and you couldn't see properly. It's like, oh, come on, like.
I mean, like, here's the thing too. They could have done one thing. And I think we all might have been a little bit happier had they changed Siva and Java's hair. Had they not made it so darn obvious to us who these girls were, it would have been like, oh crap, no way. It didn't have that impact.
At least they would have put an effort, yeah. To make it worthwhile. Yeah, it would have had a bit of an impact, but. Yeah, you're right. Here it's just okay.
If all 3 of these girls the same exact hair, when you're not supposed to know that they're sisters, like, it's not the same exact, I know, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like,
no.
Same style, and like, you guys don't know.
Like, who else is out here in this city doing hairstyles like that, honeys?
It's just but I do get like the point of it. It just it definitely wasn't for us. Now, as adults.
I mean, they probably thought they were being really smart, the half mask and everything. It's like, but
absolutely.
Yes, again, I think as Liz always says, just the execution. It just falls very flat. If they'd done more effort with the hair and the makeup, maybe something, but it just didn't work.
Didn't sure.
But I mean, yeah, we'll come back to that reveal towards the end. But yeah, before we do, we need to talk about Pride.
Oh, can we just pretend he doesn't exist?
Our favorite character. Oh no, we have to talk about our favorite character.
We don't talk about Pride now, no.
No.
Let's talk about how wholesome he is, how great and honorable he is, how amazing he is.
I made my eye twitch.
You're making him sound like Amber.
So, yeah, panel. So, preparing for the upcoming battle, Salene asks Cloe to look after the kids so that she can go to the raid.
Try to remember when you were their age. Who looked after you then? Me and Ryan, that's who. So maybe a little favor in return wouldn't be too much to ask.
Salene, you looked after me. Thanks. But that doesn't give you claims on my time forever. Well, I've got my own life now.
Okay. But please, just this once, as a favor.
A favor to who? If no one comes back from this raid, where does that leave me?
So, yeah, just before we get into Pride, yeah, what did you make of Chloe's reaction to Salene and what she said?
Fair. It is fair. Well, like, I think the first time I watched it, I was like, how ungrateful, you know? And like, even now as a mother, I'm like, I get it. Like, ask you to do the things that you did them because you loved her. She doesn't have to do this because you did these things for her. She is entitled to have a life.
But I get why Salene asks her, though.
Yeah, no, absolutely that too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can see both sides of it for sure.
But, yeah.
No, yeah, Salene is absolutely right to ask. But yeah, Chloe is, again, she's absolutely right to refuse. She has that right. Like, just because you did this for me, it doesn't mean I have to do this. But
No, absolutely not.
And the positions he would be in if they don't make it back. I mean,
yeah, if they don't make it back, oh my
That is
god.
a big ask, man. Like, here, adopt my children. Something happens to me.
Can you imagine the trauma Chloe would have to go through? She'd just come back. She has to look after these kids all alone by herself in the mall of memories. Like, crazy.
The mall of memories. It's a good one.
That's quite an ask, actually, to tell Chloe.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Mm.
And it's confronting for her as well, because yes, Salene did this for her, you know. She was all alone, and
True, yeah.
they looked after her, but doesn't mean she wants to be in a similar position.
Salene Salene does not have the right.
No, it's more, you know, I get why she doesn't want to. She doesn't want to be in that position. She knows what kind of heartbreak it brought to Salene as well, and how hard it was for her and for Patsy back then.
Yeah.
I can fully see every side of why she does not want to do this.
Yeah. And it's not fair for Salene to put that on her either. I don't get why she would ask, because who else is she going to ask?
Yeah, there is no...
I would hope that Cloe would want to help her. And these kids, you know, because that's what the Mallrats are supposed to do.
What intrigues me in this, though, is by asking Chloe to look after these kids, it's kind of making sure that Chloe isn't involved either. Chloe is a big girl. She can take care of herself. She could have easily joined in with them.
That's true. That's an angle I didn't realize. Yeah, true.
That's like Chloe...
It keeps Chloe safe, yeah.
Yeah, that is true too, yeah.
Chloe and Ellie are not that far apart in age. Like, it's not just a few months gap. It's more than that. I realize that. But she's not a little girl anymore. You've seen her with a stick. You know,
She fought her way from the mines, yeah. She is capable.
Yeah. She is capable to take care of herself, and she would have been an extra person to march with them, to help them. So, why doesn't Salene want her to join them?
Because she wants to keep her safe.
Ellie would have. Ellie would have asked her.
Ellie doesn't
she
care
never
about
mind
anybody but
Chloe
her
at
Alice
risk.
right now.
Ellie and Alice were totally fine with putting Chloe out there with the Chosen and putting her at risk, but
They weren't her mother.
Salene somehow isn't. No, but Salene isn't, you know, actively trying to get Chloe to come along with them, and that is something that I always found is interesting about this.
Can't tell if this is the writing.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, it's not really touched on, but if I was Salene, I wouldn't want Chloe going.
No.
You know?
Yeah, it's a good way to keep the person.
I think it can just be assumed.
Yeah.
See, missed opportunity button.
So really, it
See,
makes sense.
I would have loved if they'd explored that. Like, Salene, like, I don't want to put you in danger after everything you've been through, but
Stay home.
Yeah.
You just got home. I'm not putting you in danger. Like that.
That would
That
make
could have been an amazing scene.
Yeah.
Let them reconnect a little,
Yeah, a little white flag between the two. It could have been a. So you
And-
put
and
in
also
Sabine,
what
you put in things that could have been great. That could have been a great scene.
Sorry. That would have been, it would have been great to see, and it would have also been great for them to finally acknowledge that what Alice and Ellie basically did to Chloe was wrong.
Yeah. Well, yeah. See, that could have been so good, and give another. But yeah, the way they position Salene is just she's just asking about the young kids. But
That's it.
Yeah.
oh, that could have been so much better. That could have been so much better.
As for Pride's way of convincing her.
Oh yeah.
But the way things are now, the raid and everything, I just feel a lot happier if I, just for the time being, knew that someone was here.
Like me.
Especially you. You and I think alike when it comes to things like this, wouldn't you say?
I suppose.
You know, I've often thought you'd be great in my tribe. You have what we call simpatico.
It's nice of you to say.
His wording is effective. I get that.
Talk about that.
Just the whole, Salene doesn't want to leave them behind, but if she has to, she'll put out a bowl of water and some kitty litter and a bowl of food, and they'll have to manage. That's basically what he's telling Chloe with Salene will leave them behind anyway, so, it's not like Selene's gonna stay behind to take care of them if you say no.
Let me just get this on my chest. Pride's disgusting.
He's gross. He's so gross.
Let me just tell you, because the way he took her hand, that just shows he knew exactly what he was doing and how he was doing it and how it would be received by her. He purposely manipulated
He's
her.
a sleazeball.
That is the kindest word I can say. Yeah, he purposely manipulated her into that, and that just disgusts me because she has been through a lot. And you didn't need to do that, Pride. You didn't need to do that. You manipulated her, and I hated it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it definitely proved the theory that he knows exactly how he affects the girls around him. He was the opposite of Bray. Bray didn't realize it because he was dumb. You know?
Oh my god, that's so true.
Knows.
He's the opposite of Bray.
He's the anti-Bray.
He's the male version of Tysan, and that's all I'm going to say.
Oh my god, that's such a good
Yes, he is.
That's it.
He is. He is.
Yeah, Pride was oblivious. Bray was oblivious. He didn't know what he was doing, but Pride is fully aware what he's doing, how he's touching, how he's coming across, the emotional pulls. Yeah, that's wow.
Nasty Pride.
Pride.
It's Nick Miller.
And this comes straight after the May stuff as well. Like, this isn't a one-off. This is him. He is manipulative. Oof.
He's a predator.
But this was the virtuous Pride that we were introduced to.
He's never been virtuous. Never. Not once. Never.
What happened?
I think honestly we all hated certain other characters so much, like Ned and possibly Jay, that our minds just could not deal with more awfulness.
No. You guys were hating on Bray so much.
We projected niceness on Pride, I guess.
You were hating on Bray for a season and a half. And so here's Pride, this wholesome character. No, guys, no.
Ooh,
the tables have turned.
I don't know what happened. He's just literally been dragged from when he started. He's become this horrible, disgusting, manipulative beep.
Are we gonna blame Amber for this too?
Yeah, you can't. No, this is him. This is 100% him.
Boy made big boy decision.
Wow.
No. I mean, he fell for Amber, so that's what ruined him, right?
That's why I asked if we were going to blame Amber for this. But you want to know what? No.
No.
We are not blame Amber for this. Poor woman. She is out there dying in the woods. We are not going to put this on her.
No. Pride's shown this enough times now that this is actually his true self.
He tried to guilt Amber into staying, and that, you know what I mean?
Yep. Guilted Amber. He manipulated Salene. He manipulated May. This is who he is. I'm afraid.
Absolutely. So maybe, and I'm not going to say this, but I'm gonna say it. Maybe he gets what's coming to him. Dun dun.
But like, but where does this idea of pride come from? That he is not all these horrible things. Because in the
has to
fandom,
be, like
he's like known as this virtuous, amazing guy.
It's
but
because
Wishful
they needed
thinking.
Bray to be the knight in shining armor. They needed him to be the favorite, and he wasn't.
But like, even Pride was still thought of highly in the fandom as like this amazing person.
It's true.
But
that
like,
is true.
he
but
isn't.
He's not. No. As adults
He's
now,
not.
we see it. We're like, that is not how a boy should treat a girl. It's not nice.
I'm thinking now. Why do I think Pride is a good guy? Sorry, I blame Liz for this with her awesome fanfic.
It's gotta be Liz, man. No, she's not here to defend herself, so.
Oh.
Oh, sorry, she's not here yet. But
No, I agree. Yeah, I think a lot of fanfic did help with my perception of Pride. To be honest,
Yeah.
there was some good fanfic. There was some really good fanfic.
there was some really good fanfic out there that made Pride seem like a good guy, and that's what I
Yeah.
remembered from Pride. Plus, a couple of the screenshots I had saved somewhere of, like, I think it's the first episode of this season or the last one of season 3, where you have Pride standing there with Trudy and Brady together, and they seemed so nice together. And I guess my brain just rewired that into, but Pride was a nice guy. He would have taken care of her.
An illusion.
Yeah, it was just wishful thinking, I guess. It's the illusion of cute long-haired guys. Sorry.
Maybe that too. I don't know. Like, we had Lex, but we already knew Lex was a piece of garbage, so we get another one.
Yeah, and people still defend Lex for a lot of things.
No.
It's the hair, I tell you, it's the hair.
Lex, they like the bad boys. It's the way it is. I mean, that's why they like Pride. They know he's a bad boy. They don't care. But he's a good guy. He's a nice guy.
Oh, man.
He gets what's coming to him.
When you say he gets what's coming to him, which part do you mean? The
kiss.
Okay, cool.
That's the immediate karma. His long-term karma, I also agree. He gets what's coming to him. But it's the first time I think I might say that, all right? Liz said it enough about Bray. Now it's my turn to say it about Pride. I'm not sorry. No, he gets, his immediate karma.
But in karma, yeah, sorry. I have no sympathy for you.
End karma? Nah. you got the cheers, bro.
No, that's understandable. I know there were some either role players or even some fan fictions that may have even changed my opinion on a character. They made me see him in a different light, or I just latched onto their take on the character. And then it's not till I would revisit the show and then be like, ooh,
right.
It wasn't exactly them, but
yeah. That's what you did to Pride. We felt like Pride was a good character. He's a good guy.
And see, I was coming at it as he'll be a good guy someday. When he grows up and life happens to him.
He should be a good guy by this time, I think. A good estimation.
I'd like to believe he'll be a good guy by the time he's 24 or 25 years old.
Right. Frontal lobe is a little more developed.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Lex's reactions here. So,
what happened to the old Salene?
She had a choice. Toughen up or waste away. The same choices that these guys are gonna have to make soon. But if I can show them there's some good in the world, then I will.
Yeah, you just be careful. When everything gets too good, that's when life usually turns around and kicks you in the teeth.
After hitting on Salene and asking about her newfound confidence, Lex warns her about trying to fight for a better life. Later, he also chastises Ellie for her anxiety during preparations for the attack, telling her that she's not the only one to have lost someone. However, this seems like a far cry from his earlier sentiments that all hope is lost. So yeah, we need to talk about this. What do you make of the way that the show is trying to portray the effect that Tai-San's disappearance is having on Lex, and how he's kind of flip-flopping between the two states?
Very, very confused man. I'm very confused by, what he's doing. I don't have much of an opinion other than why are you gonna hit on Salene, and then I don't know.
It's like on one hand he's so sad that Tyson is gone, and how will he ever go on without her? And on the other hand, it's like, oh, Tyson's gone, so he's reverting back to his old behavior.
Yeah.
It's odd. Because they're like, he's lost Tyson, the love of his life, but then he's hitting on Chloe, then he's hitting on Salene, and then he's like, like, come on, Eddie, pull it all together. We're gonna fight. But then he's like, oh no, we can't fight. All hope is lost. He's like, pick a lane. Like, he's kind of all over the place. Like, do you think this is natural, or is it a bit too much?
She's no longer there to realign his chakras, so.
I don't know. Maybe this is kind of him, like he's losing it, a little bit. Like his wife's gone. He doesn't know what to do. He wants to fight, but he also doesn't want to fight. He doesn't know. He doesn't know where he is.
I mean, I suppose that's fine. Yeah, I suppose that could be. No, that's true. It could be fine if
it's lazy writing. I mean.
No, you make a point. He himself doesn't know how he's feeling, so he's flipping from one emotion to the next. That's fair.
Absolutely, he wants to fight, because it's Lex. Of course, he wants to fight. Maybe that's that those moments of lucidity, right? And then there's the times where he's just in despair and there's really no hope. Why are we even trying?
It's just the hitting. I think it's the hitting on the two girls. I think that's what muddies it for me. If that had been removed from it,
trying to get back to normal.
Normal.
Well, just reverting back to the way he is without Tyson present.
Yeah, it shows just what type of person he is when he's not. I mean, in the presence of his lady love, I guess.
And you guys, this is 6 episodes. It's been 6 episodes.
6 episodes. It's been a week.
It took Bray less.
If that.
It took Bray less amount of time.
Wait, no, stop it.
Why should I stop it? Because it's true.
No, Daddy saved him from utter despair when his girlfriend blew up in an explosion. Lex has just lost Tyson. She's still out there alive somewhere.
So he just lost his moral compass.
They're not the same. I will not have you slander Bray.
I guess the only thing I can, if I was going to try and take a stab at defending that, is that sometimes when you're going through the grief process, you can flip-flop between depression and anger, which are usually the
see?
like maybe like he went straight into like despondency when Tyson first went missing, and just like this brutal acceptance, fatalism, it's over, she's gone. And I don't know, maybe this is their last shot to try and get her back, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not gonna say it's good writing. I don't remember it being good writing. It doesn't sound like good writing.
It's fun.
Maybe there is some logic behind his flip-flopping, his motions being all over the place. If this is their last chance to get his wife back, and he already still sort of just believes they aren't going to, he doesn't even feel she's someplace on this planet anymore. Like, he doesn't feel tethered to her. She's not in his heart. He don't know where she is. He can't feel her. Chloe's hands are starting to look good already.
Oh, stop! We didn't need to remember that.
Chloe.
So maybe, just maybe, he's not in a good headspace if this is the last chance. That he may not even believe in this last chance, but he is going to give it 100% of himself because that's what his wife deserves. And I don't know.
Articulated that so much better than I did.
And the hitting on Salene?
Listen.
Hey, it's called bargaining. It's bargaining. He's setting up what's going to come next, right? Like, okay, if this goes pear-shaped, I will be alone, and I'm clearly no good on my own. So
I'm the next strongest woman I can set.
I'm gonna need a hug after this inevitably fails. So what are you doing after the fight, Salene?
So he's just throwing a dart at every dartboard woman he can find to try and see.
Yeah.
Whatever sticks,
What
man.
Oh, damn.
Maybe this is Lex's way of searching for an anchor in the same way Chloe is. Who knows?
Yeah. It could be. I think it's deflecting off of pride. Like it's like, here, look, this guy's still a douchebag. Like, look over here.
So yeah, pride's not that bad.
Yeah.
Hey, listen up, everybody. This is gonna be no picnic. Okay, we don't know enough about them to identify their weak spots. Okay, and maybe you're right. Maybe this will show them who they're dealing with. But for me, it's too early. It's what you want, and I can understand that. So if we gotta do it, let's make it count. Let's go!
And reaching the Technos headquarters, they soon realize that they've walked into an ambush, and a fight ensues, with the city folk eventually subdued by the invaders' technology. So yeah, panel, what did you make of this big fight scene? Opinions on the choreography and obviously the use of the new soundtrack that we hear for the first time.
The music. I'm sorry, they tried. This is what I was saying while I was watching. They really tried with the music to make it cinematic, and it just... And now I'm kind of getting where they got that with the game, I guess.
Yeah.
Because in the game, they have the music during the fight scene, and it, like, ramps up somehow. I don't know. Didn't know Ellie could fight. Yes, I guess it makes sense.
Oh, she was...
Girl. Yeah, like she's a farm girl.
She was going off. I was watching, I was like, wow, Ellie.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I did not know. Okay. Why didn't you go with Jack?
She was firing off some combos. I was like, wow, Ellie.
But I remember thinking the fight was decent, like looked pretty decent. And, I can't really argue about the choreography there because I can't think of any specific that stood out as not so great. I remember it being pretty solid. And again, you have a crowd of kids who have to do a bunch of fight stunts and look like they're beating each other up without anyone actually getting hurt. So, I thought that looked pretty cool. I even kind of like the shot of them marching in. I don't know if it's just because I remember Ellie and Pride's faces and how determined they looked. I was like, okay, go get them. You know what I mean? Like they're here to win it. I don't recall there being enough people there to be as impressive as this could have been. I could be wrong, but I don't recall all those tribe leaders that were there screaming at Ebony.
Oh no, they were gone. They weren't there.
I thought these were the very people who wanted a plan and were screaming, and I thought these were the people that our Mallrats had talked to in this whole endeavor. How can it be Mozzie? I thought the mosquitoes were taken. Like, how can they be there? And we saw the other girls get taken too. Remember, Dee was the
only Dee was the only one who survived, but here they are.
They're mosquitoes. It's a swarm. There's more than we know about. They spawned.
But it's like, wouldn't Dee be with them if there were still mosquitoes out there? I thought Dee was hanging out with these guys because she ain't got nobody left. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If she still had people, like, wouldn't she have like caught up with them? Or they would have found her or something.
She was.
So it's like, okay, convenient where they just came out of the blue. I thought you guys got caught. Shouldn't they be like, where the frick you been, Dee? What the heck, and militia. What militia?
Where are they?
So again, they failed. Where this is where you needed to bring in those extras, to justify the other city kids who want to fight. And again, you literally have one tribe leader that everyone always recognizes, and that's Jet. Where is she? Like, you can't just bring her out every once in a blue moon as one of the tribe leaders who's either in resistance or in argumentative talks or something, and then leave her out of a scene like this. Like,
but that's because we can't have any attention away from Ebony as leader.
Just about it.
Still, I don't care. Just more faceless extras to bolster the fact that
fill it in.
We know there were they had the faceless extras again when all the tribe leaders were arguing there with Ebony, and she's trying to talk them down, and Lex is trying to talk them up, and Salene was finally like, hey, yo, let's all shut up and at least talk. Where are those guys? You could have at least gotten those guys back. But if you couldn't, just get a bunch of extras. It doesn't matter if we recognize them. There need to be more bodies here. because I don't believe the Mallrats. Sorry, I'm just saying, I don't believe that the Mallrats talked to anybody if these are the only people who showed up, because they made it sound like Ebony had her back against the wall if she didn't lead this charge, and it's like there's nobody here.
Yeah.
You know, she didn't have to do anything.
Like I feel like the crowd the first time they went was bigger. It was around the same size. Like the crowd needed to be significantly larger than the one that went first time.
Well, the first time there's only 7 of them,
Um,
so
yeah, like, but there needed to be. That's all I really recognized in the crowd. I'm like, this isn't as big of a fight as I thought that there would be. Definitely expected there to be more going on. Maybe it was just I was so focused on Ellie's green coat. I don't know.
Yeah, I do feel like this was the one moment you needed to have those tribal leaders here in this. This is the big fight, and you can't even get them here.
Because who did Ebony say that they were? Like who that she was gonna because she said something specific about who she was meeting up with, right? Or who they were supposed to be meeting up with.
what matters is that it was Lex and Salene who and Pride who already told her, look, we've already talked to the other tribes. We're doing this with or without you. So it doesn't even matter who she was going to meet up with. You know what I mean? Like
I wasn't
it was
sure
supposed
who
to
it
be
was, but she's the one that said it.
everybody else was just supposed to be there, and that's like you just need the extra bodies so I can believe that this is what's left of the city who's willing to
the
fight.
city, yeah, but there's no one.
There's no one. I'm like,
Yeah.
so either this is just not the time to drop the ball on the
Maybe
extras.
they're
Yeah.
at a different entrance. Maybe there's somewhere else and we just don't get to see it. It sells. They flanked the building.
There's a cavalry. They'll be
They
called in,
captured.
you know?
Yeah, like they're just waiting. They're back and waiting. You know, seeing how this goes down.
Second wave.
Yeah,
It just wasn't. Yeah, it just wasn't the scene to skimp out on.
No.
Like even if you couldn't have a big crowd, okay, so keep the same amount of cast they had, but just take out like 2 or 3 of the militia, swap them for a different tribe. You know what I mean? Take some of the mosquitoes, swap them for like a different tribe at least. But like it just feels small the way they've implemented it. I don't understand.
It doesn't just seem small, it makes it seem like they don't have any respect for the audience.
Yep.
That's what, you know what I mean? Like, okay, fine. Let's say you couldn't get a big crowd, as Lance
Yeah.
said. Small details that they could have done within that small crowd wouldn't insult my intelligence. Like the fact that I know mosquitoes got taken, you filmed that. You know what I mean? That was Dee's big introduction, is all the mosquitoes being snatched up, and she was the only one
Yeah.
that got away. So where did these mosquitoes come from? I'm not dumb. You need to explain that. You got to explain why these mosquitoes are still around and why Dee has never like hooked back up with what remains of her tribe if they've been around, you know? And you can't just bring the militia out of nowhere. We haven't had a militia since season 2. So who are these guys? Where did they come from? You know? So like this doesn't just say we didn't want to get more people on the set. This says you're too dumb to notice these details.
Oh man, we've used the word dumb a lot today. Definitely said the similar thing about the Pride situation.
Well, dude, I wasn't even 5 minutes into trying to skim the episode just to jog my memory, and I ran into 3 dumb things. So, I mean,
Yep, nope, they think you're dumb.
and 3 dumb things at 1.5 speed is very hilarious. I'm just telling you, like when you have it sped up and 3 dumb things hit you that fast, you're like, oh, good heavens.
So we should have kept a list, shouldn't we?
Oh, that list will get very long.
A list of at least the top 3 dumb things per episode.
So I mentioned this off before we started the podcast. Like, why would anybody believe that Ebony would sacrifice herself for any of them? It's just such a ridiculous notion that I was watching it and I was like, huh? Like, none of the Mallrats would ever believe that Ebony would sacrifice herself for them. Like, that suspicion should have been there from the get-go. Like,
That feels a lot like them leaning on the nostalgia of the audience, because we do know that there have been times when Ebony has, whether it made sense or not, thrown herself into danger for another person. Sometimes it's really worked, like her putting herself in danger to save Alice. That was incredibly poignant. We all loved it. Big boss moment for Ebony, and an awesome moment for their friendship. And then there's times when like she decides out of the blue to risk herself to save Bray after the Chosen have just left his body on the beach. You know what I mean? Didn't make sense, but we do know she does this. But that's an audience thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like Lance said, we, the audience, we know that Ebony has been known to put herself out there for whatever reason and take the fall or something to try to protect somebody or help somebody, usually personal interest. But as he says, the kids themselves shouldn't trust it at all because of their history with her.
Yeah.
They don't know that, some of those selfless moments she's had, they're not really aware of her selfless moments. They have a history of deceit and deception from Ebony. None of them trust her right now. There is no reason they should not suspect something is going on here. Not only was she completely not unwilling to fight these people from day one, she wanted to just brush past the invasion and showed no interest in fighting these people. Up until they literally had to blackmail her and say, we're doing it with or without you. If you want to be leader of the city, I guess you're going to have to join us. And only then did she agree. But she hasn't shown an ounce of believable, like I believe this could work. We could do this. She's been reluctantly dragging her feet the whole time. And now she gives you this weak ass speech. Like, she's not confident. She doesn't believe in this. She's just doing it because she has no choice. Why would you even think for a second that she was doing this for you with what you know about her and your personal history with her?
Really goosey.
It's weak. It's very weak, right? If they had written Ebony to be putting on a better show for everybody, if they had taken the time to actually... It's kind of crazy. Season 4 is definitely Ebony's season, but I don't feel this is the strongest Ebony we've ever gotten. Maybe all the focus is on her, but the exploration of who Ebony is as a person isn't here, and they could have taken this opportunity to show a conflict for Ebony. You know what I mean? But she's so flat in one note. I just want to keep control of my power, but I don't feel any conflict over the things that I have to sacrifice in order to have that power. She doesn't even seem bothered that her city has been invaded and that people that her, like, she doesn't even have a sense of, like, my ego is wounded, that many of my citizens have been taken and how bad that makes me look. Like, not even that. She has no sort of real reaction to anything that's happening. So
Yeah.
they could have taken this and really painted an image of somebody struggling with the loss of control and the punch to her own personal gut. This feels like, again, it could still be coming from a completely selfish and narcissistic place, but there would be feelings she'd be having about this and, wanting to take back her city, wanting to prove herself. And she could have given an impassioned speech. She could have shown, we are going to do this. Even if she knows, I'm sacrificing all of you to keep what I need to keep, And then you could argue maybe some of them would have been bought into the impassioned performance she was giving them, only to see her go down and sacrifice herself to save them. Then maybe it would make sense for someone to be like, wow, Ebony, you really had our backs. I didn't think you had it in you, blah, blah, blah. But they don't do any of that with her. And so all of this falls flat. And you're looking at them like, I know you guys are dumb, but this is the dumbest you've ever been. This is the laziest way you could have taken to calm everybody down so that you can keep the status quo that you want going forward. And
Yeah. And yeah, on the flip side, what did you make of Jay in all this performance?
He is a handsome plank of wood that's doing what he's supposed to.
I have a hard time paying attention during when he's there. I'm like, oh, okay.
He is the poster boy for whatever he's selling.
He's an Abercrombie and Fitch model.
He is definitely giving the energy he's supposed to be giving, which is the hypocrisy of a narcissist. Like, you invaded their city and you have the nerve to be like, and this is how you treat us. That's his energy.
Yeah.
Audacity.
Like, what? The audacity of you people to react this way. All we did was steal your loved ones. Like, give me a break. You're making this. Yeah, you're making this so much harder than it needs to be.
He's trying.
Don't say that.
He's trying to tell them that they're the good guys, they're the saviors, without actually telling them what they're gonna, what good they're gonna bring them.
And That's the energy he's supposed to be bringing. It's meant to be infuriating. So
Even Luke sold it better.
Well, Luke believed what he was doing was for the greater good. He genuinely believed, look, we're just trying to help you. You will thank us for this. I don't even think Jay believes that. He's just annoyed. His Karen energy is so strong, like that. He's that guy, he's that person who calls the cops on a kid selling lemonade on the front of their house and is annoyed that because he got physical, he's the one being arrested. Like, that's the energy Jay has. Everyone's had an argument with someone like Jay who pushes you down the stairs and you're just like, what the fuck was that about? You're flipping out and they're just like, okay, you need to calm down. All right. You're acting crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's Jay's energy,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
he's supposed to have that.
Yeah, he's an obnoxious human candle.
Like, this is all just a big inconvenience for him.
For real, like that's exactly how it comes.
I mean, I would have liked it if they gave him extra line. Like, look, I told you could be with your family. You didn't want to. I told you where the trucks were. I told you could get in them, and you didn't get in the trucks, and now you're acting a fool. Like, that would have been great. Bring up those trucks again. Bring up, you know what I mean? Like, but no, he's just. I'd like to speak to your manager. That's his energy.
He's a Karen, yeah.
That's what his energy is supposed to be. So.
Even has the hair for it.
That Kate Gosselin haircut.
That's exactly who I was thinking of.
Frosted tips and all.
Uh-huh.
But I can't complain about that because that's exactly the energy he's supposed to have. So that's what makes him so infuriating. You're just like, oh my gosh, you're so in the wrong, and you're surprised that people are reacting this way.
You are the bad guy in this situation, sir.
He's like, no, have you not read the script? I'm tribal Jesus.
I'm the new Bray. That's what it is. That's what it is. Like, he's the new Bray. Get used to it, guys.
He doesn't have enough whoopee in him to be Bray.
They want.
He doesn't have enough of that, like, wounded soldier energy to be Bray.
But his dead girlfriend.
Not his girlfriend.
They do try it.
He's got this wound, this big wound he's been carrying.
All of this awful behavior is just to cover up those wounds. He'll try it, but it won't sell him on me. Like,
no,
I like him as a terrible person.
Like,
you know what I mean?
You are a person.
Like, that's who he is.
Well, not a robot.
That's who you should be. But yeah.
They do try and sell it, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's stick with the Technos because that brings us to our final thoughts of the episode. So as the Technos congratulate themselves on a job well done, Ram orders them to find out more about Ebony, at which point Ved produces an election poster. Java and Siva finally recognize her and warn Ram against her, to the point of abandoning the mission entirely as Ebony could bring them all down, revealing that she's in fact their sister. So yeah, panel, I know your thoughts on this already, but what did you make of the reveal that Java and obviously Java and Siva's take on Ebony herself?
Let's try. I'll find it.
I guess if I ignore the fact that they definitely should have seen her face on one of the cameras by now, and shouldn't need this like full frontal shot to recognize their own sister, who is literally still wearing the same hairdo they are, and whose features are crazy recognizable. If I ignore all that, this isn't bad on paper, like this. Oh my gosh, there's our evil sister. She's alive, and this is what we're contending with. And it's the first time you see Java's laissez-faire attitude drop. Like, that on its own actually is impactful. Again, if they hadn't tried to keep showing her on camera and make this seem like some big mystery that these guys are related.
This is where I said they thought we were dumb.
But if they, if you ignore all of that bad mystery laying that they were trying to do and just look at it like, okay, let's just say there was, the resemblance wasn't that close and that everybody should have guessed this from the start. And just imagine you have Java who's just like got this attitude, this like, everything is cool in the world and I like just messing with people and everything and I'm unbothered, and all of a sudden she drops that at seeing her sister and goes cold and immediately concerned. That's sort of effective in its own tiny bubble. All by itself, that's a nice piece of acting and storytelling. unfortunately, is part of a much bigger bubble, so it doesn't land. But
It's part of a giant bubble that's about to pop.
I'm trying to figure out how young you'd have to be like, oh my gosh, like
Oh,
to
we
be
decided,
blown
like,
away by this
9.
reveal.
7 or 8.
9,
9 maybe.
range. We decided that.
Oh my gosh, those girls who look almost exactly alike are related.
Change the hairstyles. Just change their hairstyles. Like, and Jay, when was Jay gonna pick up on the fact that Ebony looks like Ava and Siva?
Closest we got is, have I seen you before? Smooth, Jay.
It's so dumb. It's
You look
so oh
familiar.
my gosh.
And I know this is an earlier scene that I missed you guys talking about, but they even try to set it up in this episode. Remember, Ebony stood in front of a camera for God knows how long before Jay saw her and put together that maybe she'd like to have a conversation, and then got off his butt and decided to go find where she was and talk to her. And you're telling me that he was the only one who saw her for all that time, and Java didn't eventually see it until after Jay arrived and started having a conversation with Ebony. Java, you didn't think you could just like rewind
Just look
and
back,
just look
yeah.
back at what brought Jay out there? I'm just like, how was he the only one who saw her staring at that camera for a good hour? You know?
Mm.
That was the full frontal that Java apparently needed to recognize her. And then the way they try to do the blocking, like you can see Ebony's
I mentioned
face.
that. That was awful.
And Java's like, I still can't tell who this is. I'm so intrigued. I gotta know. And
Oh.
yeah, it's very just. I'll just say silly. It's a very silly
Yes,
attempt.
that's
to,
a good word for it.
I'll just go with that, to have a mystery. And
Tried.
They really
tried.
tried. They had the face
Yeah.
masks on the sister, half masks on the sisters. They had the camera blocking. They tried so
Right
hard to
now.
make this big reveal.
It just makes me sad that somebody thought this was like really brilliant. Like somebody thought this was clever setup, and I'm like, who do you think your audience is? That's all I want to know. I'd love to just be a fly in the wall
Young children.
during that pitch meeting, Who did you think you were going to fool with this? Because you clearly thought you were fooling somebody. Did you look at your demographic? Just curious.
No, just at the age that the channel they aired it on was aimed at.
So yeah, I mean, unless you were 7, this doesn't land the way they were hoping it would. Where you were like, oh my gosh, I was no wonder they look alike. I was wondering, what were the chances? I was so curious that they got these actresses who just remind me so much of Ebony, and they get their hair done at the same place,
yeah.
and kind of have the same attitudes, and wow, that was genius. They're related. That makes so much sense. Yeah,
So underwhelming.
so underwhelming, yeah.
And what did you think of the fact that we were getting Ebony sisters?
Well, okay.
That didn't bother me, I
that's nice.
guess.
That was okay. That could be interesting because clearly they hate her
Do you
guts.
feel like it was more to push the narrative that Ebony is a dangerous person more than anything? That's what it seems like right now, anyway.
I don't even know what the point was, though. I will say, when you look at the overall story with Ebony and her sisters, it is kind of confusing at what they were going for. Because it does seem in this beginning that they're trying to push that Ebony is a terrible person, because now we've been introduced to people from her past that aren't a guy that she was in love with, or a girl she tormented because she was in love with a guy, or a street thug who she literally just hooked up with to make the guy that she was in love with jealous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's nice to actually, okay, here's a familial connection. Who knew her from before, knew her as a child, before the virus, all that jazz, who may have some insight into her personality. And the first thing they go for is she really is a garbage person, okay?
Really is a piece.
But then they spend the next 2 seasons showing that of the 3 sisters, Ebony is somehow still the better of all 3 of them.
Even see
You know? So it's like, were they invented to make Ebony look better in comparison? I'm not really sure what they were going for by bringing the
I think it's a
sisters
favorite
in.
character. The writers, invaders.
I did find it interesting though that they were at least attempting to show us some of this kind of sibling dynamic without the siblings liking each other.
Right, and I don't mind that. I mean, there is some good stuff that happens. The dynamics between the sisters, it says a lot. They all were failed by their parents at the end of the day, and you can see how it affected them all in different ways based on their personalities and how they basically survived growing up in their home, which sounds like it was hellish to the extreme and incredibly damaging. That's actually really good insight that we're going to get about these girls and Ebony in general. But it also kind of feels like they didn't know what else to do with Ebony. They'd taken her as far as they could by herself, and the only way they could make her more interesting was to introduce this dynamic. I'm not saying it's bad, but it is very soap opera cliche to have siblings come out of the woodwork that have never been mentioned ever. Never been referenced by anybody who would have known them, who would have known Ebony had sisters. It would have casually been brought up.
Bray would have known this.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, almost everybody we knew who we had Ebony
yeah,
is one of the few people who's got the most pre-tribe history as to what the heck she was doing. And the fact that she wasn't an only child never came up. That's pretty lazy,
It was lazy, yeah.
So I mean, even Amber had a sister at some point be mentioned, but it made sense that nobody would have known that about her, so it's okay. I'm not bothered with the fact she has sisters, but I can't help but realize that, gee, that shouldn't have been that big of a secret. Really shouldn't have been that. She's always been treated like she was an only child.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And,
How old was she when she was like, what, 13 season 1? Maybe the girls were just meant to be older, on the older end, so we didn't really see them because they weren't really classes school, I don't know.
But they would have been in Bray's class. If they'd been any older, they would have died of the virus.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So
Yes, they were a year older, but they're not meant to be doing there, I don't think.
yeah, that's the other thing. It doesn't help that her sisters are so nebulous in their existence. And, that's what also you're like, then Bray would have known these people. Trudy would have known of their existence,
Yeah, even if these two went to a different school than Ebony, sure. But then at least Bray would have known. I mean, he spent time with Ebony one-on-one.
But I guess at the end of the day, it wasn't relevant to bring up her siblings at any given time. But yeah, it's still jarring when you have the 3 seasons under your belt and you've studied them like a Bible. And Ebony has always been treated as though she wasn't born. She just came from the crusts of hell, all on her own.
Right. She just bond.
It's really hard. It's hard. There's literally no reference to her even having a family. Clearly she had one, but there's never any dialogue to speak about her family or her dynamic. They never treated her like that kind of character, and so, yeah, just suddenly giving her one and using that to explore how she came to be who she is.
Yeah.
It felt a little bit like a Hail Mary because they didn't know what else to do with her by herself.
I was just thinking, they never even do a scene, do they, with the 3 sisters and Danny James back in the Locos, do they?
Nope.
No. I think that's the only thing that bugs me, is that they were supposed to have been Locos as well.
Yeah.
And I think I would have bought it more if they hadn't been able to become one of the Locos because Ebony had shooed them away, turned Zoot against her own sisters.
Why couldn't we get a little scene of that then thrown in?
Show us how bad she is.
I know they bring Danny James back, so why
he's
not?
on tap, yeah. So I don't understand why they couldn't fit that in at any point in the 2 seasons we get. Like that's odd.
Do a flashback of showing that, because I think it would definitely be more impactful than the girls whining about it years later.
Yeah, for sure.
But and it in a way it sort of contradicts some of what we already know about the lore. We know Ebony came to the school where Martin, Bray, and Trudy were within months of the virus, and then we know that she immediately hooked up with Martin as soon as everything went pear-shaped. And Bray didn't look like he'd have the fortitude to handle this, keep her safe, rule the world. So she was like, bye, your brother looks like a better option. And then you're trying to figure out, well, where did that fit in her sisters, where they were like, we'll stick together, all 3 of us, and you know what I mean? So I'm just like, that whole Loco thing with Bray and Trudy, and did Trudy, was she with the Locos? What happened? It's already nebulous enough. Don't muddy the waters
and
even
Jaffa.
more. Right, and Jaffa happened to be in there.
I mean, how on earth
And Luke, yes.
Is it possible that? Yeah, but like, I think that's what makes it even harder. Not just Bray and Trudy never mentioning her sisters, but Jaffa never throwing it in her face, or Luke, for that matter.
I could see Jaffa doing it.
Jaffa,
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
He could have been so evil about it, you know?
But, at the same time, they didn't exist. They came out of the ether. And she did not. Again, she wasn't even human. She was spawned from evil.
Yeah.
That's how they wrote Ebony. She was a broken, evil mess who did not have...
Born in hellfire.
Right. She wasn't like everybody else. She was a different kind of animal. And that's why they chose to write Ebony. And, the most human Ebony ever has been, and the most complex and well-written she's ever been was season 2. Sometimes I wonder if we give Ebony more credit just because she's been around for so long and she's always there and she's one of the few characters we can rely on. And, but let's be honest, her best writing, best characterization was all the way in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they're ever going to get there again with exploring her. But then again, a lot of the best writing was in season 2. So, what are you going to say? What are you going to do? Right? That's where Lex's best characterization came from, and he's been coasting off of that, But this is what they needed to do some actual exploration of Ebony as a person. And I'm not saying it all works, but when I take in the 2 seasons as a whole, I appreciate that there is some exploration of how a childhood where you're basically brought up to be a pit bull with your own siblings in a fighting ring from day one could affect you.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have any real socialization skills. You wouldn't know how to love, trust, care, empathize.
Even with your family.
And there'd be a part of you that'd be desperate. Right, because even with your family, home wasn't a safe place, ever. And it wasn't for either the girls. And it does paint a picture of what life was like for Ebony, Java, and Siva. And I can see how they ended up the way they did, and the alliances they formed, and the struggles they've had to just figure out how to people.
Yeah.
And so I'll give them some credit for at least, if you're going to make her the main character for the next 2 seasons.
All 5 seasons?
Didn't throw it completely away. But no, she was not. But these 2 seasons are definitely hers and hers alone. Everyone else is just orbiting her world.
Tell me one season where Ebony wasn't heavy-handed thing.
Season 1, she was just a really cool extra out there in the world that we got to revisit. Season 2, man, that was her season. Woo! She was the best. She was the freaking best. It was so good to hate her and watch her villainy. She was amazing. Season 3, she just kind of coasted along, and she didn't have any real of her personal motivations of her own. She was just like there most of the time.
Because she was working the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until that last third that she really stepped up. Ooh, okay, finally giving her something to do. If you're gonna make her the main character, if this is no longer the tribe, but this is Ebony and her minions, fine. At least we get to explore Ebony,
Yeah, give us
and
more.
her sisters.
Yeah.
The lesser versions of Ebony.
Make us feel something other than what we do.
I'll stop there because I could talk about the sisters for days. I have like a 30-page dissertation on the wasted potential of Java.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, no, that's a good point to end it. That brings Series 4, Episode 6 to a close. Thank you very much to the panel, and you can show your support by clicking on that like and subscribe and following us on all the major platforms. You can also leave us a comment or get in touch if you'd like to take part in a future episode of the podcast yourself. Just search for the tribe.co.uk or Conversations on Eagle Mountain. You can also throw us a donation. Just head on over to buymeacoffee.com/thetribe.co.uk. And we'll see you next time for episode 7. Until then, bye.
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 Bye.